As new corruption is revealed from the Biden Department of Justice, Merrick Garland keeps emerging as a person responsible for it. Some saying that he lied to us in Congress when he was testifying about David Weiss, the prosecutor prosecuting Hunter Biden. Ted Cruz, as more has been revealed, is very irritated about it, now proposing a solution to this, saying that maybe it's time to appoint a special counsel to investigate Merrick Garland. Somebody's lying. It's either Gary Shapley, who's got emails to support his claims about David Weiss, or it's Merrick Garland, who said that David Weiss had powers that many people claim he didn't. So Ted Cruz says, now let's appoint a special prosecutor. They've already appointed a special prosecutor for Donald Trump. They've already appointed a special prosecutor for Joe Biden. Why don't we do one for Merrick Garland as well?
This FBI is the most politicized Department of Justice and FBI we have ever seen. You mentioned the House. The House is doing a terrific job. I had lunch today with James Comer. He and Jim Jordan together are doing a fantastic job of trying to hold the Biden administration to account. The House is the only body of Congress doing its job because Senate Democrats don't want to know the truth. They're not interested. But here's where we are on the facts. We now have two credible whistleblowers, both IRS career employees, who've come forward at enormous risk to their own careers, to their own livelihoods, and they've reported on corruption within the Department of Justice, specifically that Merrick Garland and his political appointees repeatedly interfered in the investigation of Hunter Biden, and especially that what they did is they protected the White House. They protected the big guy. They said no questions about the big guy. You're not allowed to investigate the big guy. Not only that, they alleged that the Department of Justice tipped off Hunter Biden's lawyers before they executed a search warrant, before they tried to question Hunter Biden. Repeatedly, they allege the senior officials at the Department of Justice obstructed this investigation. Now, we don't know if these whistleblowers are telling the truth, but if they are, if they're telling the truth, their testimony is flatly contradictory with what Merrick Garland has said under oath. I questioned Merrick Garland in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he told the Judiciary Committee under oath that the U.S. attorney investigating Hunter Biden had complete authority to investigate and that there was zero political interference. His statement is directly contrary to what the whistleblower said. The House needs to have a hearing. They need to have both whistleblowers under oath. They need to have David Weiss, the U.S. attorney, under oath, and they need to have Merrick Garland, the attorney general, under oath. Somebody's lying, and if Garland's lying, he committed lying under oath to Congress, which is a felony, and he committed obstruction of justice, which is a felony. He obviously can't investigate himself, so Merrick Garland should be recused from the entire matter, and the Department of Justice should appoint a special counsel to determine whether or not the Attorney General of the United States has committed multiple felonies.
With the honor and integrity to do it, and I'd like to get to the bottom of the 1023 form, but we're talking also about those that have now passed.
And the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia to bring charges against Hunter Biden for the most serious tax offenses. The cases had to be brought in D.C. and California because that's where the crimes occurred. And what the IRS whistleblowers alleged is those U.S. attorneys refused to bring the case. And to be clear, one of those U.S. attorneys was a political donor to Joe Biden. Another of those U.S. attorneys was a political donor to Kamala Harris. And their allegations, again, are directly contrary to what Merrick Garland has said under oath. And this is something I've talked about at great length on my podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz. You look at these whistleblowers. Both of them are career IRS employees. One, Gary Shapley, was a senior supervisory agent with a lot of experience. He has no reason that's evident on the record to lie. He doesn't appear to be a Republican. The other whistleblower, he's self-described as a gay Democrat with a man for a husband. There's no reason to think he's got an axe to grind with Joe Biden, and yet he's got the courage to call this out. We need a special counsel because the Attorney General is not above the law, and neither is Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have a gay Democrat who is testifying against the Biden crime family, and well-deserved. I mean, my goodness. So that is Ted Cruz, and they're saying that there needs to be a special counsel appointed to go after Merrick Garland in particular, because Merrick Garland can't investigate himself. He's already the head of the entire DOJ. So we were asking our ourselves about this, and there are examples of where this has happened before. And so Congress certainly should be able to do this. Here are some examples that ChatGPT gave us about special counsels. We had one in Watergate. Special prosecutor named Archibald Cox investigated the DNC break-in, led to the resignation of Richard Nixon, and other cabinet members were investigated. In Iran-Contra, we had a special counsel appointed to investigate different people in Reagan's administration, looked at several cabinet members there. Valerie Plame affair, CIA operative. This happened during George Bush, including some cabinet members there. And we had another example. So anyway, the point is, this has happened before, and so it would be well within congressional authority to actually do it. The question is, will they? We'll see. But Byron Donalds is also suggesting something else if they're not going to do a removal. He wants to propose impeachment.
Pending counsel Saul Weisenberg. Congressman, let's start with you. Do you think Attorney General Garland has committed an impeachable offense?
I think he has. And let's be very clear. You can't have the investigative arm of the IRS doing its job, wanting to bring felony charges, but then somehow with the political brass at the IRS and the political brass at the Department of Justice, it all gets slow-walked. It all gets tamped down. They can't go get the necessary search warrants. They can't interview the right people. Some of the stuff that came out is they couldn't even pursue any use of the word Biden in some of their questioning. Like, this is how ridiculous this is. And so for the Attorney General to not know, and to also add to this, the Chief of Staff to the Attorney General not to know what's going on makes no sense at all.
Well, not knowing would be ignorance, but would it be an impeachable offense? You would have to say that he's lying before Congress.
Yes, if he knew this, even if he didn't talk about it in front of Congress, if he used the power of his office to slow walk and to obstruct these investigations, that is an impeachable offense, 100%.
Now, Saul, you think that the first step should be having the AG and perhaps U.S. Attorney Weiss testify before Congress. So if that's the case, what do you think is the most important question for each to have to answer?
They can do this if they can just not grandstand and screw it up, Laura. They need to bring 3 people in. They need to bring David Weiss in, the U.S. Attorney from Delaware. They need to bring the Attorney General in. And they need to bring in the person who's probably in the thick of this, and we haven't heard anything from her. That's Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco. The Deputy Attorney General runs the Department of Justice on a day-to-day basis. I can guarantee you that if David Weiss didn't pick up the phone to talk to Merrick Garland, it would have been in all likelihood Lisa Monaco. And the first thing I would ask, there's so many questions to ask. The first thing I would ask Weiss is, were you commissioned as a special attorney? This special attorney they keep talking about that has the right to bring a case in any district without getting permission, you actually have to be designated and commissioned. Now, A.G. Garland says he had the authority from the beginning to do anything he wanted to. He had more authority than a special counsel because he was a special attorney. Well, when were you commissioned? Do you even now have a commission? It looks like from his last letter that he did not have a commission. Were you telling, here's a very simple thing that he hasn't spoken to. Did you tell the agents that you had gone to the D.C. U.S. Attorney, Matthew Graves, and that he had declined to let you bring charges, or to use Weiss's terminology, declined to partner with you? Did the same thing happen in California? They can't say we can't talk about it because they've already gone out and explained what authority they had and didn't have.
And
These
what
are
simple
really concrete questions.
And what simple question quickly to Garland?
Simple question to Garland is it's the same question. Did you sign a commission? You say he had the authority. Did you think
did he actually sign it?
You could do it orally? Yeah. So
all right, Congressman, the letter that Weiss sent to Senator Graham noting this ongoing investigation we keep talking about. Here's how MSNBC spun this.
Let's see what Byron says.
Even the whistleblower who was the head of the supervisory unit doing the investigation said, yeah, we wanted to bring felony charges, but we were stopped because David Weiss couldn't bring those charges and we weren't allowed to do it.
What is this ongoing investigation? This is what we don't know who's conducting it. We don't know if it's of the president.
They say it's hunters. They just say it's an ongoing investigation so that they don't have to actually charge or do anything about it. But obviously that can only last for so long, especially when you've got whistleblowers who are willing to risk their neck to come out in front of America and tell the truth about it. We'll be looking forward to it. I think that you're starting to see some real anger here from both sides of the House, both houses of Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, now speaking out. Byron Donalds, Ted Cruz saying we're at the level of impeachment. It's time to appoint a special prosecutor, and the whistleblower testimony will likely bring more to light and maybe more pressure will come down to bear.